So if we go into this transaction in accounting vouchers, enter, and here we have like different vouchers on your right side. These are the list of the vouchers. Okay, the most important one is starting from this F4, which is the Contra voucher, right? So what we are doing accounting vouchers, and in accounting voucher, our first step is that our first voucher is the Contra voucher, and the short key for that is F4. Okay, now what is Contra voucher in Tally ERP 9? All those transactions in which cash, petty cash, and bank is involved. Okay, all those transactions in which cash, petty cash, and banking transactions are involved. Bank account is involved. Means that you're depositing cash into the bank. You, you withdraw the cash from the bank, transfer from one bank to another bank, receive petty cash, from cash account or bank. So it means the debit and the credit side is either it is a cash, petty cash, or bank. Okay, so all such transaction will go under this Contra voucher, which is F4. The short key is F4. Clear? So this is our Contra voucher or the Contra transactions in which only cash, petty cash, and bank is there. Okay. After that, next we have payments. Okay, F5 is the payment voucher. So payment voucher is F5. The short key is F5 here. Okay, so all the payments. Okay, all the payments you made to your supplier, paid expenses, right? Paid refunds, right? These all transactions you will record into the payment voucher. Whatever you are paying, right? You are paying expenses. You paid rent, you paid electricity, you paid telephone. You are paying to your suppliers, your vendors, right? So all such transaction will go under this payment voucher. The short key is F5. Clear? After the payment voucher, this is a payment voucher. After the payment voucher, next we have receipts. Receipts means whatever the money you are receiving, that is your receipts, right? So that is receipt voucher. The short key for the receipt, that is F6. All the income or the money you received from your customers, or for example you have interest income in the bank, right? We receive the service income, right? We receive the consultancy fee, right? So that is what under the receipt. If you are receiving a capital, okay, so all such transaction will go under this receipt, which is F6. Here, okay, then we have, after the receipt, then we have, this is journal voucher, F7, right? This journal
Mm-hmm.
voucher is used for your adjustment entries.
Adjusting entry.
Yes. Journal voucher, the short key is that is F7. You need to record all those transactions like you have adjustment entries, your credit purchases, your
Mm-hmm.
credit sales, okay, or the most important uh, non-cashable transaction, cashable entries, fixed asset purchases, right? All such entries you will record under this journal voucher. Okay,
Okay.
I'll give an example of non-cashable transaction, right? Non-cashable transaction means in that specific transaction, you're not paying the cash, you're not receiving the cash, you're not paying the money, you're not receiving the money.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you're working for the company for the month of April, right? And your company policy is that they will pay you the salary next month, right?
Okay.
They will pay you the salary next month, 5th of May. Okay, but you as an accountant, your responsibility is that you need to prepare a monthly profit and loss account. Okay, so
Mm.
this salary expense belongs to which month? April or May?
The other day.
This
No.
salary expense belongs to which month? April or May? The
It
next
will be an April.
April, right? So you as an
Yeah.
accountant, you need to mention that salary expense in April, profit and loss.
Okay.
But you're paying the salary the next month. Okay, so
So
you as an
it will be
accountant,
like A7.
yeah, you as an
Go ahead.
accountant, what you will do, you will enter it like this, like payroll expense account,
Mm-mm.
payroll expenses,
Yes.
that is, let's suppose 5,000, that is debit, and you will credit the uh, pay,
Payable.
payroll payable account, that is credit 5,000. So this entry you will pass
Okay.
in April, right? So here, this is a
Yeah.
transaction in which you are not paying the cash, you are not receiving the cash. So such
Mm-hmm.
transaction you will record where? In journal voucher.
Got it. Thank you.
Got it? Same, we have depreciation, right? Depreciation expense account is debit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Depreciation expense account is debit, and accumulated depreciation account is credit. You're not paying the depreciation to anyone. So all such transaction you will record where? In the journal voucher.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. After this, next we have that is after journal. Next we have F8. F8 is sales. That is a sale invoice, right? Let's suppose you sold 10 laptops to Carrefour. So you need to send them a sale invoice also. So that sale invoice is enter that you will create that sale invoice from F8. So F8,
Okay.
that is
Mm-hmm.
sales voucher, or that is your sales invoice. Short key is F8, sales invoices for customers will be done from here. Okay, then after F8, if you look, this is F8, and
Mm-hmm.
after F8
Mm-hmm.
there's another option, that is F8 with two underline, that is credit note, right? If F8 is
Mm-hmm.
sales, if F8
The other
is
one is
sales,
no.
then F8 double underline, that is a sales return, that is a credit note. You
Mm-hmm.
sold 10
Ah.
laptops,
Okay.
you sold 10
Contra
laptops
account.
to Carrefour, they return two pieces, right? So that is our
Mm-hmm.
sales return, that is our credit note. So that is what credit note F8. Okay, so then we have credit note or sales return, that is F8, and that is with 2 underline. Okay, that is our sales return voucher.
Okay.
Sales return from customers, right? Similarly, we have purchase voucher or our purchase invoice, which is F9. Purchase invoices from suppliers,
Right.
right? So if
Okay.
F9 is purchases,
Mhm.
right? Here we have this option, that is F9 purchase, right? So if F9 is purchase, that is a purchase invoice,
There was.
whatever you purchase from your supplier, so that invoice you need to mention here, you need to enter here. So if F9 is purchase, then you can see there is F9 double underline, that is a debit note, that is a purchase return. Clear? If
Okay.
F9 is purchase, then F9 double underline, that is a debit note, that is a purchase return. Clear? Right?
How
So,
about this discount? Will it still be the same?
which one?
The discount and the return, will it still
Yeah,
be the same?
yes, it will come. It will come
Okay.
in the column. If you want to add a discount column,
Okay.
you can enter the discount column here. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
so that is what, that is debit note, that is our purchases return, that is F9 and with double underline.
Okay.
Okay, so that is purchases, purchase return to suppliers. Now one more thing, if you look that F8 double underline, which is sales return, and F9 double underline, which is purchases return, by default these two features, look, these two features are not activated, right? I cannot look, if I click on this F8, look, this sale invoice, it is open here, right? But I cannot click this F8 or
Mhm.
F9 double underline because these options are blocked, because these features are disabled right now. So if you want to activate
Okay.
these features, you need to go in F11, that is features. In F11, we have this option, use debit and credit note. So you
Yeah.
need to make these
Okay.
three options. Yes, right? Control A to save it.
Got it.
Okay. So now look, here these are enabled, activated, credit note and debit note. So to
Mm.
activate this option, to activate this
Good.
this credit note and debit note, you need to go
Mhm.
F11 in features to activate the option.
Okay, and then control A.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
these are the most common accounting vouchers which we are using every day while working in a
Yeah.
live environment. Okay. So now one
Mhm.
by one, we're going to perform the journal entries. We need to record the entries. Okay. But before that,
Okay.
we need to configure two options. Before recording
Mm.
the transaction, we need to configure two options. One, that uh, we need to enable by default in Tally, single entry mode is enabled, right?
Mhm.
So we need to make this option no. By default, it is yes, and we need to use debit or credit.
Multiple. Mm.
So we need to make this option yes. So these two are the configuration
Okay,
settings.
so it will be like double entry.
Yes, double entry. By default
Okay.
in Tally, single entry is enabled. So we need to go into the configure F12 to enable these options. Okay, so we go in F12. In F12, you can click this F1 setting. Okay, in the configuration F12 and voucher entry, enter, and here use single entry mode. You want to use a single entry mode? No. We
No.
want to use a double entry, so make this
Mm,
option yes.
okay.
By default it is no. And then use credit and debit. So that option
Okay.
by default it is no. So you have to make this option yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Control A and
Got
save
it.
it. Yeah. So now what we need to do, we have this sample transactions now. Okay. So our
Okay.
first transaction is that Mr. John invested 200,000 as a capital. Okay. So the journal entry is what? The cash account is debit and
And
capital
then
account
capital.
is credit. So where you will record this entry? Go
It
in
will
the
be
accounting vouchers.
on
Where? Contra, payment,
Contra and
receipts,
also payment.
journal, where? F4,
It
F
will be on the Contra.
contra.
Yeah.
No. Look, in contra, we need to record the transaction in which only debit or credit side have these three items: cash, petty cash, and bank.
Mm-mm.
But here we have a capital. That's why it will
Mm-hmm.
not go under contra. It will go under the
So we'll
receipt.
receipt.
Because debit is cash,
Oh,
but
okay.
credit is capital. If it
Okay.
is like
I
this,
got you.
debit is cash and credit is bank, then it will go into the contra.
So it will just be like the transfer of cash
Yeah, but
to another cash
yes,
account.
but here we are receiving a capital, so we need to credit the capital, right?
Okay. Receipt voucher.
Okay, so we go into the receipt, which is F6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and still that single entry mode that is enabled. Voucher entry. So use single entry mode, so you need to make this no. Control A to save. Go in accounting vouchers, and now it is disabled. So look, by default this is a receipt voucher, so by default
Mm-hmm.
credit side is coming. That is a formatting in Tally. Okay, so credit is what? Credit is a capital account. So like in our chart of account, the capital is yet not created. So we have two options.
Mm-hmm.
Either you will go back and go in count info, go into the ledgers and create the ledger from here. That is capital account. That is under the capital. Control A and save it. That is the first method. But in that case, what we are doing, we are just going back from the journal entry window, and that is time
Mm-hmm.
consuming. So we go in accounting vouchers. In accounting
Mm-hmm.
vouchers, we are receiving the capital. So we go into the receipt, which is F6. So we need to enter the credit side. Credit is capital, enter. And how much is the amount? Amount is 200,000, enter.
200,000.
And now look, the debit side is here. So debit is capital, the cash. So just write the first three
Yeah.
letter. It will come cash on hand. Enter. That is 200,000. Enter. Uh, just write the description. Started business with cash by Mr. John. PET,
200,000.
enter. Enter and save. That's right. Similarly, next we have cash deposited in Noor Islamic Bank. So what is the journal entry? What is debit and what is credit? Cash deposited in Noor
Uh,
Islamic Bank. So Noor Islamic Bank is
it will
debit,
be Nor Islamic Bank debit and then
cash is credit,
cash is credit. Yes.
right? So where we need to record it? F4,
Will
F5,
be
F6, F7, F8, F9. Where we need to record it?
will be in there for
F4 because it's a contra entry. Because debit is
yeah.
bank and credit is cash. So we need to go F4. It's a contra.
Mm-hmm.
So credit is coming first. So credit is cash. And how much is the amount?
And I think it's 50,000.
50,000. Enter. And debit is Noor Islamic Bank. Enter and enter. Because
Yeah.
you are selecting the bank account, but we are depositing the
Mm-hmm.
cash. So when I press enter, this is the bank detail information that if you are depositing a check. So that because it is a cash transaction, so I will not enter. Look, the cursor is not going to this instrument number, which is a check number, or instrument date, which is a check date, right? Here you can
Okay.
mention that the branch of that bank. Okay, enter, and cash deposited in Noor Islamic Bank dated 05.01/22. Enter, save it.
Yep.
Right? Next, again, that is the same entry, cash deposited in Emirates Islamic Bank. So Emirates Islamic is debit and cash is credit, and it's a contra entry. So Emirates Islamic, so we don't have the Emirates Islamic, right? So now I don't
We
want to
don't
go back. I don't want to go back into that accountant code and ledgers and create the ledgers and come back again and record the entry. It takes time. So we have a short key, right? If you want to create anything new, create anything new or by a shortcut in Tally ERP 9. Okay, the short key is Alt plus C.
I'll see.
Alt C, that is
To create.
to create anything new without going back to
Okay.
that the master creation window, right? So I don't want to go back to that ledger creation window. So if I press Alt C, the same window it will open. Okay, so the ledger name is Emirates Islamic Bank. That is under the bank. Okay, so I just save that one. So what is the amount? That is 100,000. Enter, and that is no, credit is cash because we are depositing the money. So 100,000, and the debit is Emirates Islamic Bank. Cash deposited into Emirates Islamic Bank. Enter, save it. Now next after this we paid telephone bill 8750, and we paid electricity bill 2000, and we paid through Noor Islamic Bank. So where we need to go to record this? F4, F5, F6, F7, F8, F9. It's a payment, right? So we go into the payment, and we need to select the telephone, but right now we don't have the telephone or electricity expenses created. So I'm gonna press the shortcut Alt C, telephone expense, and that is indirect expense. Taxable. Same. I'm gonna create. Okay, later. So telephone is how much? That is 750, right? So if I press enter, and now look, after that I'm paying electricity also. So when you press enter here, it's coming credit. So you can change it manually, DR. You can write here DR manually. Okay, and Alt C again because we are paying electricity expense, indirect, and that is 2000, and we are paying through Noor Islamic Bank. So it will do the total of the credit side automatically. Press enter, and because we are paying through the check, so that is the check amount to 750, and that is that instrument number means the check number, and whatever the check date is, you need to mention that. Enter, and here you can mention telephone bill and electricity bill paid for the month of January 2020. Enter, enter, and save. After that, again, this is what cash withdraw from Emirates Islamic Bank. So cash withdraw from Emirates Islamic Bank, that is a withdrawal, right? So here
Mm-hmm.
the cash account will be cash will be
Mm-hmm.
debited, and Emirates Islamic will be credit. That is 10,000. Okay, so it's a
Okay.
contra again because the debit and the credit side is cash and bank.
Yes.
So
Cash and
contra,
bank.
in contra, it's Emirates Islamic. So credit is Emirates Islamic Bank, and amount is 10,000, right? And oh, sorry, yes, and debit is the cash account, right? Enter,
Yes.
enter, uh, withdraw money or withdraw cash from Emirates Islamic
But
Bank. Enter, enter, save it. Leo, any question till here?
currently, no, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. After this, next we have service income received in Abu Dhabi First Bank. So it will go under
What
this
did you say? Right?
receipts,
Mm-hmm.
right? That will go under
Yes.
this receipt voucher
Yes.
F6. So we go in F6. So it's a receipts.
Pay.
So we don't have the service income right now here. So Alt C again,
Mm-hmm.
service income, and that is under indirect incomes, and amount is 5,000, and the debit is Abu Dhabi First Bank, Abu Dhabi First Bank, right? So that bank account is not there. So Alt C again, Abu Dhabi First Bank, and that goes under the bank account. Enter, Control A to save, and that is a check information, service income received in bank. Enter, save it. Okay. After this, next we have that we are paying the staff salary. Okay, staff salary.
Mm-hmm.
That is that expense. That salaries expense. 15,000 we are paying through Nur Islamic Bank, so it's a payment, right?
Yeah, pay.
So we go in F5. So we don't have the salary expense here,
Okay.
so Alt C,
Salary.
salaries expenses under indirect expense. Okay, so we are paying 15,000, and we issue a check of Nur Islamic Bank. So that is the check amount, that is a check number, and whatever the check date is, enter, and salaries paid for the month of January 2020, enter, save it.
Okay.
Next, we purchase some office supplies or office stationery, right? And we paid through
Okay.
cash. So again, it's a payment via cash. So Alt C, stationery expenses, Control A. We paid 1,000 and we paid through cash. Stationery, right? Okay. After
Mm-hmm.
this, now next is what petty cash received, 85,000 dirham cash. So we are receiving a
Contra.
petty cash from the cash account because it's not mentioned that either you're receiving it
Mm-hmm.
through the bank or what. So we are receiving a petty cash from the cash account, 5,000. So petty cash account is debit and cash is credit. So it's a contra.
Mm-hmm.
So we go in the software again. It's a contra. So credit is cash account. How much is a petty cash? 5,000 dirham. Enter. Debit is our petty cash account. received for Dubai. Enter, enter, and save it. Yep.
Okay.
Then we have, this is a fund transfer entry that we transfer from Emirates Islamic Bank to Noor Islamic Bank, right? So again, it's a contra, right? Noor
Okay.
Islamic Bank is debit and Emirates Islamic is credit. So Emirates Islamic is credit, how much? 20,000. And whatever the check and this it, and the debit is Noor Islamic Bank. Fund, funds transfer from Emirates Islamic to Noor Islamic Bank. Enter, enter, and save it. Okay. Then we have this one. This is bank loan received in Noor Islamic Bank. So where you will go? F4 or F6?
Which one? Transfer
11.
bank loan?
Bank loan.
Bank loan received in Noor
Islamic
Islamic Bank.
F4 or F6?
It will be F6.
F6 because the credit is a liability. It's a bank loan,
Yes, exactly.
right? So we go in the receipts. We don't have the bank loan liability, so Alt C, bank loan, and that is under loan liability. Enter, and the amount of a bank loan is 150, and the debit is the bank account, which is Noor Islamic Bank. Bank loan C. Okay, so if we look our balance sheet also,
Debit is what?
the debit is the bank account, the Noor Islamic Bank in which the loan is, we are receiving the loan. Okay, now if we check our the balance sheet. Okay, so in the balance sheet there will be a bank loan liability,
Okay.
right? We go in our balance sheet and I
course.
want to check in the
Yeah,
details. So in loan liability we have a bank loan of 150,
okay, okay. I got
right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
now next step, there's another entry which is also very important.
Okay. Thank you.
This one, internet bill received, AET 350. It is not showing, or it is not mentioned here that you paid the internet, right? It is showing that internet bill
One,
received
internet bill
350.
received. But there's no payment
We
yet.
just received the
So it
bill.
will be through the journal, correct?
Yes, F7. Okay, so we go in the accounting vouchers, F7. So the debit is what? That is internet expense. So Alt C, internet expense account, indirect expense, and amount is 350, and credit is internet bill payable or utilities payable. So Alt C, and that is under current liability. That is 350. Internet bill payable for the month January 2020. Okay, and again, if we check our balance sheet, if we go on the balance sheet, and I want to check the report in detail, so here it's showing that internet bill payable is 350. Okay,
Got it.
now next, let's assume it that we paid the bank loan, the first installment. The total bank loan we receive 150, and we paid the first installment, that is 50,000 back to the bank. Okay, so we need
through cash or through the bank?
through the bank. We paid bank loan 50,000. Let's assume it through the bank. Okay,
Okay. So it will be like a debit to the loan
in the
and then
payment.
credit to the
Yes.
bank.
So
Got it.
we go back, accounting vouchers. Accounting vouchers,
Mm-hmm.
we have payment. So to we are paying the bank loan, right? So our liability is decreasing. The bank loan, we are paying 50,000, right? And credit is what? Nur Islamic Bank. Yeah,
Yep.
enter. And
Okay, that's great.
sorry,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, that is whatever the check number is. Enter. Bank loan paid. Enter. Enter. And now if we check our balance sheet, the liability side, in the balance sheet,
To the loan. Yep.
detail. So look now our bank liability, which was 150 before, now it is decreases to
And
then 100,000 because we already paid 50,000 in. Similarly, we are going to pay this internet bill payable also. Okay, so
mm-hmm.
we go in the accounting vouchers and we go into the payment, and that is internet bill payable, that is debit, and we paid through, let's suppose, to the cash 350, internet bill paid. Enter, enter. And we go back again and check our balance sheet. So here,
Done.
detail, so it is 0. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is how you need to record day-to-day transactions or day-to-day journal
Mm-hmm.
entries in Tally ERP 9. But right now we are not doing this F8 or F9, because F8 or F9
Mm-hmm.
is related with that sales and purchase, related with the vendors and customer. So this we will cover.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
This we will cover when we are going to do this account receivable and the payable accounting.
Accounting.
Okay.
Okay. It's fine. It's okay.
Okay. Now next step is that we need
Fine.
to check the reports. Reports of accounting entries. Okay. So how to check the reports? We need to go into the display first, and then we need to go into the daybook. So what is the short key for this? That is DD.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. If you want to check the report, let's suppose your boss said
Mm-hmm.
that how many invoices, how many vouchers you entered today, or how many payments you
Mm-hmm.
recorded yesterday, or how many total
Okay.
entries you recorded this week or last month. So he wants to check the report
Okay.
of all those transactions, right? So for that,
Okay.
we need to go into the display, right?
All
So what
right.
is the short key? It is D. So to check the report, we need to go into
Mm-hmm.
the display. The short key is D, and then we need to go into the daybook.
Mm-hmm.
So display, in
Got it.
display we have daybook, so another D. So what is the short key? If I press DD twice, DD, it will go into the daybook. This is our daybook report,
Uh.
right?
Okay.
We go into the display.
Summary of report.
In display, we have
Mm-mm.
daybook, enter, and these are the list of all the transactions
Mm-hmm.
which you enter today, last week, this week, last month. We can filter the report. Okay, so if you want to check for a single date, let's suppose your boss said that he wants to check that how many transactions you enter on 10th of April. So you will go into this date and you will enter only 10th of
Mm-mm.
April. But if he said that how many
Wow.
transactions you enter between 10th to 15th of April, so then you will enter this Alt
Okay.
F2, click this period, and you can enter the date from 10th of April till 15th of April. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Then again, your boss said that he wants to check only the payments. He don't want to see this contra
Payment.
or the receipt or the journal. He said that
Mm-hmm.
how many payments voucher you enter today. So then you need to go F4, change voucher, because
Change
I want to see
voucher.
only the payment. I want to filter the report. So go in
Okay.
F4 and I want to see only the payments.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Enter. So it will show us the report of only the payments, and you
Payment.
can export this into the Excel also, and you can press Alt P
Mm-hmm.
to print this report.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to edit
Yes.
something, I want to, let's assume it is telephonic expense is not 750, it is 850,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to
Mm-hmm.
edit this expense,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I press enter, 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 so I can edit this voucher also. Control A and save it.
Okay.
Here, this is how we
All
can
right.
edit. And if you want to delete the transaction, look, this is what Alt D.
De-
You can press enter
uh-huh.
and Alt D,
Delete.
or you can just click here. You can
Okay.
delete the transaction.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how we record the journal entries in Tally ERP9. Any question, Theo?
So far so good. I was able to contemplate it. I was actually practicing it yesterday
Okay,
with the same thing.
I already sent you this